Doesn't matter.
I'm not,
No,
actually.
Ed.
I'm not.
She's just a star.
Is that on? Forgot about it. Okay.
Is
And
he
Corey?
on?
Here.
Here. Did he just say here?
Yes.
It's fine. Yeah, I don't think she's
She
here.
just joined the second.
She's here?
There she
Is
is.
Megan, you here?
There she is. Yep.
Well, who else is on it? Nooch is gone.
Armin's gone.
Yeah, so that's it, right?
That's it.
Yep.
Well. Approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion for agenda approval? Ed, you got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You are?
Yeah.
I thought you were, but you said you weren't.
You're an alternate, so because Armin's not here.
I am on this too.
So I'm trying
I'm
to
an
be
alternate
fast.
on all of them.
Now that you're sworn in, you're
Yeah.
everywhere.
Hey, I've been around for a while now. I
Now
know.
that Ellen swore at you.
Yeah. Let's move along.
Approval in the minutes, please.
I wasn't there, so I don't think I can vote. You were.
I was. I can vote. So moved.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any public on?
Not after all that.
Technology, E-rate project update. Yeah,
So we're a couple of days ahead of schedule. We did the scary thing and cut all ties to Torrington School last week and brought it up on the new E-rate funded purchase switch, and it worked like a charm. So we'll be moving forward tomorrow and Friday, cutting over East School, Fourth School, and Vogel Wetmore, followed next week by Southwest. And then the scary piece of Midgeon happens on December 27th, where we're going to cut over the middle school and Midgeon. So when that happens, we'll actually experience a complete blackout for a couple of hours, but we'll bring everything up on the new E-rate equipment. I'm really excited about that. It brings everything to this. I can't wait to show it to you. It's the single pane of glass where we're able to see the entire network at once for the first time ever, and being able to see itself, any sort of issues, everything in one nice dashboard. So I can't wait to have that all up and running and show it to you in January.
good. Holiday break shutdown. Any questions, I guess, first? On the E-rate? Holiday break shutdown.
I kind of went into that happens on December 27th. And for one day, the district will not have any internet or phones. But we'll try to get them, but we're staging all this work now to make this shutdown, from what was supposed to be all day, it's gonna be probably less than 2 hours.
Wow.
Yes.
I do have a question on that. What does that do to our security system, if anything?
Nothing.
That's it.
Not connected.
That's all you need to say. Trust your judgment completely.
Any other questions?
Well, can we turn email off for that day or?
The email will still be working,
And
right?
the next day?
Yeah.
Just cut it all
That whole
down,
week.
Yeah, there you go.
Make everything bounce.
Till the new year.
Thank you, Alan. Facilities, update on Windows bid.
Okay, so we're still on target for the Windows bid. We did have an addendum to the bid document. The addendum was that there's three now. The addendum was that there was two bidders that came to the bid opening for the walkthrough, and based on the Thanksgiving Day holiday, the manufacturers of windows weren't able to provide them with pricing within that time frame of when the bid would close. So our addendum pushed the bid out 1 week. So today, the addendum for today was the last day that RFIs were able to be answered. Nobody's given me any RFIs since that first week. And now the bid closes on the 13th. So bids will be due on the 13th, 2 bidders. Burlington Construction and Cherry Hill Glass.
Is that part of Cherry Hill Construction? Same guys?
I don't know if they're the same or not, but it's Cherry Hill Glass. They're out of the Guilford, Wallingford area, somewhere out that way. They were the ones that provided a lot of the original legwork for the window project.
Okay. Update on Vogel roof.
Okay, so in your bid packet, there is a document from Joe Alicata. We asked Joe to give us some pricing on what it would take to put together the Vogel roof through the OSCGNR process at the state for reimbursement. And if you look at the bottom of that first page where it says 3.2.0 fee, the total cost or fee for Joe to do that is $50,350. That is just about in cost double of what the cost was when we did the roof at the middle school. And the middle school roof is about half the size of this roof.
Doesn't this have to go out to bid for the architect if it's that much money?
Oh, yes, it would have to go out to bid. This is really just to get the processes all started on this. What we would need to do, the next thing we would need to do is we have to go out to bid for architectural services, but we need to know that there's funding available for that roof project at Vogel. I know that the city has said that the funding is available for the middle school roof project. And the quick and brief update on that is that we have a vendor that is going to provide some services for us to get some firmed up estimates on that roof. And we'll have them for after the first of the year.
No, I think you're talking about. So what is Alicata proposed? You're talking about just preparing the state approval?
This is the whole thing. This is the design, schematic design, the roof, all the roof bid documents, the specifications, the state approval, everything. That's
But we still need to go to bid on, that has to go to bid, I think.
For the architectural services.
correct.
Right. So what is this for? Just to show us what it is?
This is showing you what it's gonna entail, what it's gonna cost. That's about where we're gonna be.
But we're not engaging in any contracts with them.
No.
at this point.
No.
Other question?
Yeah, just because the subject is agreement between owner and architect.
An FYI.
Yeah.
That's not an actual contract.
We haven't signed
It
anything.
hasn't gone out to bid yet.
Okay.
That's the update on Vogel and we're kind of in a holding pattern until we have commitment on funding for going further on it. I mean, I certainly can go out to bid and get 3 bids on architects, but if we don't have a place to,
No, I'm not
Pull
so
the
sure
money
we should
from.
at this point. I agree with you on that. Go ahead. Nancy.
So what are the steps to get the confirmation on funding from the city? Is there a meeting that needs to happen? Like what needs to happen?
I think we were just trying to figure out how much the cost is so we can then propose it to the city. Because this is tied up in all of that money that we have in terms of what's left in
We have-
capital reserve.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that's it. I think based on the referendum, we've got that TMS project. That's the first project. The Vogel project wasn't until 23, 24 or 22, 23.
324.
Yeah, 23, 24. So this is just a fact finding, gathering of information, giving people some idea of what the estimated cost, because when we go to budget, we have to look at the capital plan. And so this gives some information just in terms of cost estimates and where we're going.
Well, this is just.
So, sorry.
Yeah, this is just the preliminary work, right?
Okay. So because it's in 2023, 24, obviously we're in no rush to get it done. But because it's part of that same package with the middle school roof that is projected to be,
It's not the same package with,
It's separate.
Completely separate.
oh, okay. I thought there was something with like the grant funding that was residual. I
Right.
thought when we looked at all the.
And it
numbers-
is a little fuzzy.
Yeah,
So we have to go back to the referendum and what has passed and exactly what we have and what we have in terms of wiggle room. I think the verbiage in that is that it's specifically for the middle school, but it may be open to other roof projects as well. So once we get a better idea of how much the middle school roof is going to cost, we may still end up having some funding in the capital reserve for roof projects, and then we can see from there if
okay.
that's a possibility. That's been in our discussions with the mayor when we've met. Yep.
So we're kind of not waiting for exact funding on this. We're kind of waiting to get the middle school project.
Right. That's the
Up, running.
biggest issue.
Okay.
Right.
And a correction, and currently on the capital plan, which is up still for discussion and approval tonight in budget, it's in 22, 23.
We moved it because it needs to be done desperately.
So it's in 22, 23. But again, that's up for discussion of this, of your committee tonight to move it to the full board and get approval.
To move it up a year.
Yeah. So that's going to be in the next meeting. And that's,
Right.
we brought it now to budget so that the board can decide what they want the capital plan to look like before it goes to the full board. Because at the end of this month, it has to go to the city.
I'm just confused. Like it feels chicken and egg. A little
I
bit.
think a lot has to do with the way this, I mean, in my opinion, I've said this before, and don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting this today. The city should be taking care of all this because they own the buildings. And we're an extra layer here. We have no say, we have no authority, and we have no money. So you're right. I don't know I don't even know which direction we're heading. It's nobody in this room's fault. I mean, I thought the city was going to take care, we were going to take care of middle school and the city was going to take care of Vogel. I think it's changed so many times.
The only one that can get the money from the state is the school board.
Right.
So
That's
we
the
have to
wrinkle.
do it. That's the reason why the city doesn't do it.
And they
We
know
have
we
to.
don't own the buildings.
Yeah, but that's the only way you can get
Right.
reimbursed from the state.
The
is if
Office of
the board
School
does it.
Construction Grants and Review will only give the money to the school board because the superintendent has to, she's part of the procedures on the sign-offs for the letters to get that grant money from the state. That grant money is awarded to school districts. It's not awarded to municipalities directly.
But
It's the
you're
state
right. It is
oversees
very
boards of
confusing
education.
because.
But are both of these going to be grant monies? Both of these?
Yeah.
I thought the city
Yes.
was- they
Yes.
are-
Yes,
We're positive.
yes.
I don't know if we know or not, but.
Yeah, they would both be
They're
up
both old
for,
enough.
they're both old enough and they're both up for grant.
I know they're old enough, then I know.
So this is what I received right before the referendum from the mayor. The resolution and referendum question is to seek authorization to repurpose the window funds that were approved in 2018. The explanatory text will explain that this is not new bonding, just authority to use the funds for a different capital project. If this reauthorization passes, the funds for Vogel Wetmore roof will be secured and available when ready.
And it passed.
And it passed, so.
Right,
Was
but
there
the
anything mentioned about
initial
this?
outlay is going to be for the middle school, because as we said before, that is more in dire need than Vogel.
Yeah.
So we would start there, let's figure out how much the money, what we need, right? And then how much it costs, and then we'll go from there. I thought it had included the Vogel.
I thought the referendum only said Torrington Public Schools, not specific to any.
Well, given
Right.
what Fiona's saying, it really allows for both roofs.
Right.
And that's what the mayor was saying to us when we had met.
Right. The
that's
difference
great, yeah.
being said at this point is that when we initially met with the mayor and we did some quick math, that they felt they had enough money in there to probably get both roofs done if we were going to do the coating project at the middle school. But since we have determined through OSC GNR that the coating project is not a viable project because of the installation piece, that we had to go to a recover project, that basically blew the entire budget for one project, leaving the Vogel Wetmore roof project basically unbonded, unfunded at this point, because all the money would be used at the middle school,
We think.
we think.
So if we're using bonding money, that's not grant money.
Well, the state reimburses.
But they don't reimburse us, they reimburse the city for the bond, I mean, the city, so that's my. we're just
So
stuck
in the bonding,
It's a checks and balances. That's how the state sees it, right? That the city gets involved and then we're the checks and balances. Do we really want to move forward with this? And we say, yes, I sign the approval once the board decides, and then we go from there.
But we're not being reimbursed for the most.
No, we are
That's maybe
not.
our bonding money.
Right.
Because, sorry, so just so I follow, because originally the residual grant money, bond money was going to pay for both roofs. But now you're saying because of the coding,
It's
Well-
3.5 instead of 1.5.
right,
So
for both.
for the one.
For middle school.
For
Yeah,
middle
it's just
school.
for the middle. school.
where you were at 1.5 and roughly 1.5 for both.
Because of all of the insulation that has to be replaced, we have to go the other way with the 50-year warranty.
I'm not questioning anything here, I'm just.
No, it's,
it just seems like
it is
it's-
confusing.
It's a mass
Absolutely.
confusing situation, and that's why I'm just, maybe we can't do it, but if we're using bonding money, let the city decide how they want to do it, and do it. But we keep going in circles, and it's not because of anybody here. That's all I'm saying.
Right, I think the city's looking at it like, well, the state won't allow us to do that because it has to be generated and approved at the board level and then signed
Yeah,
off
that's easy
at
enough.
the board.
Hopefully, if it's approved, they accept it.
Right.
I just wanted to ask, do you think we could get like, maybe a timeline? Like, I don't need, like, what are the steps for maybe next
Yeah.
facilities meeting, but like, what are the steps and kind of like the timeline we're targeting? Especially if we want to have it action next school year? I feel like-
You're not putting the roof on for not this coming summer, the following summer.
2023.
And that'll
Sorry, that's the
be
budget we're
in
just
the
doing.
capital plan, you'll see
Right.
that, but we can also break it down a little bit more.
Right.
Or even
on
just
it.
the steps of like, what are we targeting to get, it out? I don't know all the steps that are involved in this, but like, so we can see, so we can make sure we're staying on target.
I actually have that from Mr. Alicata, provided me with a list of all of the steps that's involved to go through the state grant process. So if you would like, I can send that out prior to the next meeting so that you have it. I can send it out. I can get it to Sue and she can have Lisa send it out to you tomorrow. It's all the formalities on what you need to do in order to get that money from the state. And it takes a tremendous amount of time, hence the reason why if you look at Vogel Wetmore roof, the price of the architectural work, it's not in the schematic design, it's actually jumping over every one of the state hurdles that they throw in front of you. I've sat in a number of meetings with Ed and soon to sit in meetings with Lynn, and it's painful. It's a painful process,
Not only that, the town has to bond for
the
the
full amount.
full amount of the roof replacement in the next budget year.
Right,
In
like I
order
think
for us
those are
to be
the
able to
dates
do
that I
that.
want, like to have to understand, like when do we have to get with the city? So I don't know the pre-work that has to be done, but, and then when do we have to go out to bid for the architect and then,
At this point, we were told that the money is in place for us to go and start the middle school roof. So we've now found a vendor that's going to provide us with some more solid estimating on the roof. We'll get that estimating in and we can start that process. We can start the paperwork process and the proclamation letters and stuff as soon as we finalize up that final estimate, which was requested by this board. So the timeline is to start getting it through the process now to be ready to do the roof, not this coming summer, but the following summer. There's no time to get the roof done for this coming summer.
And we're gonna be working on windows anyway.
Right. Right. We don't want to do two
Yeah, let's
projects
get
in the
that
same
done.
building
Please,
in one
please,
site.
please.
Before I even. go to the
Right.
board.
Right.
So that's why I want to make one. Right, so I need the timeline.
What, do we anticipate any additional damage being done to the roof resulting in more costs by waiting a year and a half?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, the roof-
Damage is done.
the not that the damage is done, there is some leaking issues. We chase leaks around here and there. We've got a couple more that we need to chase down that are leaking into the building. But I don't expect that there's going to be any further damage by waiting this extra time. It would be nice to get it fixed tomorrow, but it's
Sure, yeah.
that's not the way the process works, unfortunately.
There is other damage, but we'll talk about that. You know, the other interior issues that can come up. But, it's not part of the roof, so.
Just one other question. So is it because of the state process why it would take us till a year from the summer to do it, or?
Well, there's two processes, right? So it's the state, all right? We have to get through that whole process. That there's a certain length of time that it takes to get through all that process with the back and forths and the meetings and all that stuff, because remember, they're facilitating about $1 billion worth of grant money every single year to about 500 school projects every year. So there's a unfortunately, they only have so much time. There's one person doing plan review there for 500 projects, which is absurd, but that's the way it is. And then the other part of it is timeline on getting materials and when is the project going to go on? Are you going to put a roof on a building when it's occupied with kids? I don't personally want to do that. That's very disruptive to the educational process.
No, I just think people have to understand
Why we're waiting.
why we're waiting, because, people are still a little upset about the windows. So just, it's not really, we're not delaying it till then. It's just the process is delaying it.
Well, it's the process. It's the 2-month time frame that we have to do a roof, right? So there's no way to get through that process and get to doing a roof this summer. And on top of doing 2 projects on top of each other, you're going to do roof and windows together. It's just not possible. There's too many people on that site and too many things going on with 2 projects together like that.
I just, ideally, whatever wasn't being used for grant, I wish the city would. We'd have a capital plan and they will do like Bristol does in other communities where those, like roofs, for instance. If it's bond money, let the city do the bonding and we just come to an agreement and let them do it. But it's been 5 years now, 4 years just to get these roofs done. It'll be 5 years for the windows. I'm not saying it'd be faster, that they maintain control over those. As a landlord, it's roofing structure that I'm required for, and everything else, the tenant is, meaning the school would be required for. But none of this is grant money. But we are where we are. It's been 4 years. So it's not, John wasn't even here. He was assistant at the time, maybe. But anyway, maybe someday.
Moving it forward.
Our driveway. It's done.
It's good.
It's all done.
Torrington driveway. Ellie, can you pull those pictures up? So I went up and I did a little photo session today just to give you guys an idea of what's going on. All right, so this is coming up Charles Street and entering the driveway from Charles Street. where the arrow, Ally's cursor arrow is the entrance to the driveway. As you can see, we painted a big bar in front of the driveway there with a do not block the intersection, along with signage that says do not block the intersection. And we painted a large stop bar for where the buses come out. That's the entrance into the driveway. This is exiting out of the driveway onto the Torrington West side parking lot, more arrows. And there's actually a do not enter sign from that side. And you can see the gate, but there's a better picture of it in the next picture. There's the new gate. That will be closed across the Torrington West driveway. We've talked with the administrator of the building, and the decision is that that gate will be closed on Monday morning, and it will remain closed until Friday after dismissal. So the entire week, the gate will be closed because there's 2 entrances and exits further down on Torrington West to get in and out of the driveway. So it just will get people used to the fact that this is not a viable entrance into the facility anymore. And then we also did
John, can you
some,
just go back? So where is that gate?
that is right at the entrance where they come into pick
Is
up
that-
now on Torrington West.
At the
Right.
corner of
Just the corner of
Charles.
So it would be your,
Okay.
when you take the
Yep,
corner.
I thought the gate was at
Yep.
the new road, but that's
Nope.
the old entrance. Okay.
No, so yeah, without that gate there, if we were to tell people you got to come in from Charles Street, you know how many people would
Would never
drive around and
happen.
try to cut the line?
Yeah.
We're all creatures of habit, right? If I can get the parking spot right in front of the grocery store, I'm going for that
Right.
one, you know?
Sandy's got a
So-
question. I've been trying to get her
Go
attention.
get-
Go ahead,
See your
Sandy.
little hand?
Okay, thank you. I just have a question, John. You said that on the other end of Torrington West Street is an entrance and exit. Currently, that's an exit only. Is there going to be signage change there to
Oh,
make?
yeah, we'll change the signage there.
Okay, all
Yep.
right, thank you.
And then we
That
added
was my
in this,
question too.
we added in the buses only to Charles Street, where the buses enter the lot, so that that people are aware that that is buses only. And there's also another do not block that intersection there. And then this is the entrance into it. The contractor did a phenomenal job. It came out excellent. There is anywhere between 12 and 15 inches of gravel in underneath this driveway. It was layer compacted, just as we said it was going to be. They'll come back in the spring to do some seeding around the edge of the driveway. And the only thing that we are going to add, and you can't see it, and it's hard to take a picture of it so that you can see it, but I'm just going to point here. Right around this corner here, you see that picnic table there? We had to elevate the driveway. There's a catch basin in the front lawn there, and we had to elevate the driveway. Otherwise, the driveway would have a lot of pitch going that way. And so we elevated the driveway, but still kept pitch so that water would run towards that catch basin. And it's high enough now where it's probably 30 to 36 inches above the catch basin. In such a short distance, we're going to put 30 feet of wooden guardrail there. So something that looks aesthetically pleasing, but that keeps cars on the driveway, because if somebody goes off the driveway there because of snow, ice, not paying attention on their cell phone for whatever reason it is, it's going to create a disaster to try to get a tow truck in there to get them out of the hole. So that is going to be added over the next week or two.
Very nice.
Looks great.
I'm very happy.
Ellen,
Just to, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, how many cars can it fit?
So when we did the math, figuring 20 feet per car, we estimate we can get 18 cars in there.
Wow.
Okay, so at this point, what we also did was today, the administrator of the building, Mrs. Galullo, came up with a note that's going to go out, or a letter that's going to go out to parents with all the directions and instructions on what you need to do for arrival, what you need to do for dismissal, and whatnot. The main goal was to get the cars away from the Charles Street Torrington West intersection, which is, this is exactly what it's going to do. It's not going to 100% resolve the issue with cars backing up down the street, but she came up with a great plan. And I helped her add a little bit to that plan today with staging in the alphabet from A to N and M to Z, or however that laid out on their pickup times to keep maybe somebody with a Z name from being the third person in line and kind of staging them in. And what I had suggested to her is if Mrs. Z showed up, then she gets sent out the driveway and sent to the end of the line, because we're getting kids out, and kind of get parents used to the fact that there's two separate pickup times and trying to get kids out and maintain safety around the site. So we're going to try it, and we're going to see, obviously I am going to be there on dismissal on Monday, because dismissal is the nightmare. And I'm going to help the staff kind of facilitate what has to happen and how cars need to come. And there's only cars allowed to park on one side of the street on Torrington West. I talked to the traffic department. They're going to change their no parking signs to the other side of the street, because they have no parking signs on our side of the street. So they're going to move them to the other side so that they know that there'll be possibly some cars staged back.
So
There's a lot of questions here.
I
love
know.
this.
for the driveway that's now exit only, what's preventing a car coming through that way and coming around to pick up like by where the,
They can't, there's no way for them. It's only where they come down and put the kids onto the thing. There's no way for a car to get back up through there to turn around. It's a
No,
very
no,
narrow, it's a very narrow roadway or.
when they come
parking.
in, the part that's now exit only, the second driveway, right? If
Mhm,
a
where the
car comes
buses are.
in, they would come in and there's a part, they can park here and here, and they can come around and park there, and there's the,
By the library, like where we park.
by the
now.
library, right?
Right,
The principal wouldn't let the kids go running through a parking lot.
no,
They have to.
They-
Where
they
do
can't-
they get on?
the-
They get on
the
from the
kids-
door that's
the kids get
Like the
on,
gym.
by the gym. So what's preventing them from coming by the gym and parking there?
they can't. There's no way for them to come in there and park, because where the kids are let on is from the edge of that building going back up towards Charles Street.
The principal's calling the kids, so they're waiting in line
Correct.
there. So like if a parent came, the principal would have to call the kid to let the kid out
Correct.
of the
There's
building.
no,
They wouldn't
there's
do
no,
that.
there's only one-way traffic. There's the traffic that comes in and around this way. No children will be let into cars over here.
Right, because there's staff all
Right.
out there the whole entire
There's a lot of
time,
staff
all the
out
way,
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
all the way
Parents
around.
aren't allowed out of their cars. So
Right.
Ellen,
They're
if
just
somebody
driving
wants to
through.
park, that wouldn't work because parents are not allowed out of their cars. The children are brought to the cars. So they're only being brought to cars that are part of the actual drive-through pickup
Okay.
type of thing.
So
It's very
so-
structured. So as they drive
Right.
in, we know who they are. They go get the student.
right. So if someone comes down Torringford, turns onto Charles, how can they get in that line?
They have to go, they've already been instructed in the email from Mrs. Galullo that the only way that they can get into the line is from
Coming on
coming
Charles.
northbound on
Mhm.
Charles Street.
Okay,
They cannot get into
Yeah,
the
they
line
can't go.
going southbound. So they have to
Right.
they have to figure out their arrangements on how they're gonna go
Right.
down.
come
Or they
around.
can go
Right.
down
Kennedy.
Kennedy and come
Kennedy,
across that
cross,
way.
yeah.
I don't know what that little crossroad is, but, and come back up that way, but
Yeah.
they can only enter the line coming northbound on Charles.
Did the police put a no left turn sign on next to the church?
I don't think
No.
so, but we can always add that. We can
Yeah,
request,
that would be
yeah.
a good idea.
Again. With the staggered time,
Times even.
I think is an interesting idea. How are you gonna do that with Forbes for parents that have to pick up at both schools?
We're not doing a staggered time at Forbes,
And
only there.
right, so if you have a Torringford parent that, is whatever that later time,
It's a 10-minute stagger.
But they have another
They-
kid
then they
at
have to
four.
get
to
to
the
the
other
other
Right,
end
we'll,
of
we'll
town.
work with Mr. Klein on that. Okay, we'll coordinate. We'll have Kelly and Michael work together.
Where are you talking about them having parking, they're gonna have park on the school side of Torrington West? Is that what you're saying? They're gonna have
No.
no parking on the other side? What
No.
are you saying?
Charles Street,
Oh, Charles.
Charles Street.
No,
There's,
but you said earlier, you're talking about where he said, right now, there's no parking signs on Torringford school side. On the church side is where they're gonna put them.
right,
No
on
parking.
Charles Street.
Right,
So
on
that's-
Charles.
Oh, not
Okay, good.
Torringford West.
No, on
No,
Charles
Charles.
Street, there's no parking signs on
misunderstood.
our side of the street on Charles Street.
Mhm.
Okay,
So we're gonna have, we asked the traffic division if they could shift the signs over. They said they didn't have a problem.
So if during the day, not arrival or dismissal, if a parent comes and has to pick up their child,
They do it at the front door, the main entrance.
which
During the
is,
day? you
which
mean?
is in the back where it says buses only?
Correct.
That's
They
like-
come,
Yeah, during
that
the
other
day.
driveway
they
to
can
the
swing
that,
in.
right. That's a procedure that that it operates as now. That's the procedure
That's what they
continues
do,
to
okay.
operate. They go to the front door, they go to the office.
Correct.
Their child's brought out to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just,
No, it's good to walk through it all before.
I can put
Yeah.
800
Monday.
different signs up there. Nobody's gonna read them anyways.
Mhm.
That's why,
Well,
that's
maybe
why
one or
I,
two
that's why
people
I
will.
need to stand up there
And
on
show
Monday
I'm
and,
sure.
Right, exactly.
and start saying, hey, move it.
yeah, for a couple weeks, you'll have to stand, people will have to
Wait a
stand up
minute,
to
Ellen,
direct,
hold on
not
a
just you,
second.
but.
I have the stop sign in my office, like.
point of order, point of order.
Get a megaphone.
Mark this down.
Good job, good job. Now,
I'll talk to you later.
I wouldn't want that conversation.
He doesn't want it
Okay, I
either.
wanted to-
Okay, so water heaters, Torringford and Southwest School. We had an issue with the water heater at Southwest School. We were red tagged on a water heater. We were operating on one. And we, talking with Lynn, we found money in the operating budget in order to shift some things around to replace that redundant water heater at Southwest. In the capital plan, I went around and I looked at the equipment as we discussed last year about putting things with potentially end of life dates on them in the capital plan, so they come up through the plan. Vogel Wetmore's water heater was 2 years out, and Vogel Water Heater decided that a couple of weeks ago that it wanted to let go on me in the middle of the day one day. So,
Not a lot of choice.
yeah.
It's hard to do.
So we didn't have much of a choice. We took the Southwest water heater and we put it in at Vogel. Now there was somewhat of a savings there because the original water heater at Vogel was designed for the locker rooms. So it was a 300,000 BTU water heater, which means it would have to be this AMSE certified water heater. Anything over 200,000 BTUs and older has to be ASME certified. That drives the price up exponentially. To replace the water heater at Vogel would have been with an ASME direct replacement with the 300,000 would have been $19,654. But because we don't use the locker rooms anymore, we were able to do some math and calculate and determine that we were able to put a non-ASME, the one that we had planned to put in Southwest School over in Vogel. And that brought the price down to $11,060. So that water heater went in there. And then we had to put another order in for a water heater to replace the one at Southwest. So that, when you see your capital plan in the next meeting, you're going to notice that earlier it was on there and it no longer is. I had to take it off because it's now replaced.
Just two questions. Is it Torringford or Vogel?
Yeah. that was my
It's
question.
Vogel. Oh, I'm sorry. Did they? Oh,
It
they
says
put,
Torringford, so it's Vogel.
it's Vogel
Vogel.
and Southwest.
Okay, and then we'll budget here where the money came, which accounts the money came out of.
Yeah.
They-
Where did you take it?
Yeah, where did it come
From
from?
the equipment line, your,
In the maintenance
yeah,
department?
Okay, just,
If you want to ask if budget would here.
yeah, no, I'm just curious, because I just We didn't find money. We had to
Oh,
use
no,
money that we had
No.
accounted
just
for something else.
reallocating,
I was
not
gonna say
finding.
Yeah, it's
We,
under
we
repair.
watered the money tree out in the back, but it still didn't produce
Yeah.
It's
much.
not growing.
Okay, so it just came out of the maintenance line item.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
it was an unfortunate circumstance, but ultimately we ended up in good shape because we had already reserved the water heater for Southwest. So we changed it the same day that it went down. We changed it that same day.
So they were still able to serve their lunches and
Right.
everything.
We didn't have to
close.
close the school. We came up with an alternate for serving lunches where we transported disposable trays over so that they could serve on disposables rather than having to do all the dishwashing and stuff. So it worked out fine.
Uh, what? Communication system.
So here, Donna was able to get the approval from the state. She reapplied. We had talked about that before, and what you have in your packet is the approval from the state. We had to resubmit a couple of times so that they could really understand what the communication system was all about and what it entails. And then it is in the ARPA. And it's under supplies. It's that 253,000. And once again, we've talked about it before. We just have not been able to have a robust after-school program simply because of busing and staffing and things like that. So we do have those funds, and it was able to work out, and we still stayed within budget in terms of our ARPA. And the state was happy, and hopefully the board will be happy as well in terms of really getting that. And John and Lynn can speak to the realities in terms of now the timeline and where do we go from there, because we do need them. We would like them soon. John has worked through a little stopgap measure just for the middle school. In the meantime, just to have very simple, basic within the school walkie-talkies, just so that folks have them, so that they have more walkies on hand. But that's a very small number, and it's very, very limited in its capacity. It's nothing like the system that Lynn and John and Ally have worked on. And so please feel free to speak to that.
Yeah, so this, when we say communication system, we're talking about handheld radios. The biggest issue that we have currently with our handheld radios is that there are a number of areas in the building where communication cannot be heard because the radios are designed, they're designed to run long distances and not through walls of buildings. So we worked with the vendor who's in your packet, and we also are working with another vendor who's now in the process of doing some engineering. And we'll get 3 bids. Lynn pulled a bidder in, and I have 2 bidders, so we'll get 3 bids on the radio system. And we will go out to bid on it and pull this in. What we're looking at is it's a Motorola system with digital display, 16 channels. It would give us the ability to not only have full communication within our buildings, but it would also give us the interoperability to contact, directly dial potentially to a police dispatcher or LCD with administrator radios. And then it would also give us the ability to talk building to building, as well as within the building where we don't have that ability now.
Copies of this for the board. I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
it
don't
was
have
in
that.
mine.
It's don't have.
It's in the
No.
online
But
package.
it's in.
Oh, it's on the online.
Okay.
It's on, I
Just so
apologize.
that they have that.
I saw it online and
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim. I
There's
appreciate it.
also, was told by the company that I spoke to that's also on state contract, that we should do a redundancy with our repeaters on the roofs, and instead of just installing 1, if we installed 2, we would be able to go through the areas where you have no coverage, so that it would be the entire school. There wouldn't be the dead zones.
right. So currently there's, we're looking at, Currently, we're looking at 7 repeaters. Would be one for each one of the sites. And that actually currently includes Midgeon Avenue, but that one can be relocated to another site once the high school project goes and all that. The repeaters are really important because the radio communication doesn't like to go through the walls this way, but it will travel up to the repeater and back down so that we can hit all those areas in the building.
Okay.
You had said that you put out the 2 people and one, but does the state have a list? And
All 3 of the vendors that we're looking at are on state contract.
I understand, but are there more on that list? I wouldn't want to be just going to 3 people on the list if there's 12 or if there's 5 or if there's 6.
I've only seen the 3.
I think I've only know
I don't know
the 3.
anything, I'm saying.
The 3 vendors that we're looking at, they're the 3 biggest vendors in the state. They're the
I'm
ones that.
not questioning. I just know people coming back and saying we're not including everybody, right? So I saw DOT and, if there's a qualified list of 15 of them,
Thank you.
I don't know that we
Thank
have
you.
the right to ignore the 15, or we should be picking and choosing. I'm not saying,
We haven't been able to put things on the DAS website since they changed it last month. So it's difficult to do anything right now with the state.
I understand, I just think to protect everybody, you just make every effort to make sure we get as many as we want to bid
Absolutely.
without them coming
It
back.
would go out in the paper.
Well, listen, it'll go out to bid, but it's gonna have a very stringent required specification to it. It
Exactly.
will not be subject to change. It will not be, I mean, we have engineering coming in with, right now, they'll be working over the next couple of weeks in our buildings and around the city to determine coverage area losses and what they need for equipment and stuff. I refuse, and I said this before, I refuse to spend this kind of money out of our funds for our education system to come back to this board and say, geez, I'm sorry, but the radio system doesn't work at Torrington School.
Well,
It's
that's
just not going to happen.
But that shouldn't be, I don't disagree with you. The spec is the spec and everybody needs to get the spec. That's all I'm saying.
I thought there was gonna be more portables at each site. It looks like there's only gonna be 5 at each site.
No.
Is that-
No,
Had the same
what's
question.
your,
Right.
yeah, it's actually
Somewhere else.
210 total portables right now,
Yeah, with
with the 5 at the bottom being only the 5 that would be administrative radios that they have the extra button at the top,
Okay.
which provides them with direct talk to a dispatcher.
Right. I said the same thing. It's confusing in terms of how it's
You did, you
presented.
said the
I
exact same
did. That's
thing.
why I laughed.
That was my
I'm so
first,
sorry.
yeah. Because on the
It's like,
first,
well,
on
wait a
the
minute,
first
for all
page
that
that
money.
we
She
saw.
says,
it
you're only
says it
getting
on there.
30 radios.
I know.
Yeah.
We just can't have everybody with that direct
that
connect
flash.
To the
because
dispatch.
the police will be at the schools all the time because somebody will inadvertently do it by accident.
Now, can they make an announcement over the intercom from the radio? Like if you had to do like a
Not
quick lockdown or something like
not-
that?
At this point, but
If you know
In-
VoIP.
in
you
the,
could.
in the meeting with D'Agostino and Associates about the new school and what we wanted to do with school security and the things that we put in on the security grant and stuff, then yes, the system, one of the systems that we're looking at is called a system called Milestone, where it would allow us to put that information into the Milestone system so that something else could be done with it.
And Ally could probably help us.
Of course, I'm gonna add my 2 tidbits to that. Part of this whole E-rate upgrade that we've been doing and working on that I forgot to mention is that in each building now, we will have dedicated security channels on the network, which is traffic dedicated only to security. No other traffic will pass, and we'll have that capability in every building moving forward, including it. Come next month.
So
we'll
this
be able
budget
to-
from utilities midsummer, that was just their budget estimate, but the spec itself is where? It's being worked on now? Or what's this based on?
That's based on utilities engineering of the site. And I have another company that's doing engineering of the site, and then we'll sit down and we're going to put all of that information together that we get from the other 2 companies, and we're going to develop the spec.
So this is what you have to present to the state so
No,
that
I
you
know.
can
No,
get
I-
the full
I-
scope of the
I-
project.
Right.
We have a
Good.
price of 250, you know, it may come in higher, it may not come in.
Right,
That's all
and
I'm
the
saying.
state understands
coming
that,
down.
and we'd
Right.
have to adapt accordingly. And so then we would bring this back to the board just so that they can understand what the increase or the decrease is. But we had to have a ballpark to go forward.
So everybody will have the same spec. They're all bidders.
Yes,
It's not a design build, it's not a.
no, absolutely not.
It's a, yeah, no.
So what does the timeline look like as far as installing something?
So
like
that's
this?
funny because when I was on the meeting with one of the potential bidders or vendors the other day, I said to them, without having an email or anything, just knowing, talking to all these different people, that Motorola isn't expected to be shipping out radios until late February or March, that they are that far backed up. And so the vendor actually said to me, "Did you read the email I got this morning in my computer?" And I said, "No, I just know what Motorola is doing right now." So with that time frame on when they would ship radios, even if we were to say today, all right, we're going forward with this bidder, with this project, with this scope of work, you're still looking at late April, early May before the radio system is 100% up and running.
They have to program all these radios too, specifically.
All the
channels
equipment
for
needs to
each-
be installed, the repeaters need to be installed, they have to work with IT on IP site connects, and there's a lot to it.
And as with all electronics right now, even if they said February, it could be June.
Tentatively, right now, the email from Motorola was that they said February or March, that they were going to have a large shipment of the radios. That's the thing that is missing right now. The repeaters and all the other equipment we can get, we can't get the radios. The handheld radios are gone.
Can we start the project without the handhelds? Because that's kind of the end of it, isn't it? Programming them and all that? Like, can't we go
It's
ahead
kind
and
of-
set up
It's
the
kind of an
system?
all-inclusive project.
But if it's just the radios that is delayed.
I'll ask that question, but my understanding is it's an all-inclusive project, that it's all kind of needs to come together as one
They
project.
can install the repeaters beforehand, because they did in East Haven when we did it last year.
At
And
least
then we
get the
just,
ball
whenever
rolling.
the radios
I'll
come
start it
in,
up,
we go
start.
live. No, worth a shot.
Yes, John.
Just wondering, what capabilities will central office staff have? How many people will have what for?
Well, we're not going to give a radio to Sue, that's for
That's-
sure.
Sue will be sleeping with her radio.
Central office will have basically the same capabilities of all the buildings. That they'll actually have, be able to talk from central office to any one of the sites directly from here.
Okay.
We will probably have to be at least 3 deep. We were just talking about this the other day.
Yeah,
At
least 3.
Yeah, and we were really thinking 3 to 5. So,
Okay,
We were slated for 5 radios for here.
yeah, 5 works. You just have to be that deep.
yes, absolutely. Just in case. Yeah. I wouldn't want to leave us exposed. That's one of my biggest worries in terms of safety. Want to make sure you're covered.
Will you get one? Legitimate
No,
question.
you're gonna get it.
No, I'm not the chair or the vice chair.
Sue, as a reminder, just because I forgot, the window replacement the window replacement number, 1,000,002.
Mhm.
Is that our middle school, or is that for future, for other window replacements?
No, it's a middle school.
That's only half of it.
Nope,
No,
that's
it's
it.
a full
That's
amount.
That's a full amount.
I thought there were more windows.
Oh, it's the roof. That's 3.
Oh,
Sorry.
line item.
Yep, that's okay. I know. Million here, million there.
Remember, bids are due back on Monday, so we're gonna know exactly what that number is on Monday, or sorry, Tuesday, the 13th.
And we have a meeting Wednesday,
13th
so that's
Monday.
perfect.
So, yeah, takes a day.
Monday.
Is that-
Yeah, Monday. Okay, that's right, Monday, 13th.
Is that on the agenda for our meeting Wednesday?
What?
The bids
The
that come
results.
back? The
Yeah.
results of the window bids?
Yep.
Perfect.
All right.
Hold on, doesn't that typically go to budget first, the bids, before it comes to the full board?
Be a month later, though.
We can. I just feel like we've
Just as-
done windows forever.
Right, just to get an update on how much it is, or just
Okay.
an idea.
Sure. Want to do it in budget first?
Well, no, we can do it at full board. If it's gonna delay it by waiting, then we should do it at full board so that we don't wait anymore on these windows.
Yeah.
So here's the only thing, so just remember the timelines on it, right? We are really looking to award the window project about the 7th of January. There's no board meeting that happens prior to the 7th of January, so
It would have to be at the
I really
December.
think that it should come
Okay.
to the board and with a potential action item at the board for an award of that so that we can award it. And, we don't want to delay the timeline because of material shortages and supply chain shortages any more than we need to.
So the sooner they can start manufacturing, the better off
Correct.
we'll be.
So when
to
you
get
get
it
the
done
bids,
on
why don't you
time.
just put it
Add it to the
after
agenda.
open and send them out an email so people, we don't have 3 minutes to look at them.
Well, we'll have the, right. We'll have to get the packet together. You will have gotten the bulk of the packet and then we can just add these.
Yeah.
Yep. That's fine.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Could we also just get the
Really
RFP
exciting.
again? Because
Yeah.
it's been I think a while since we saw that RFP.
Hi, Bruce.
Who's got to? At least.
Actually, John wasn't even here, I don't think.
Didn't we change? Yeah.
No, the RFP, you want to see that?
The original RFP.
Well, whatever,
No,
what
no,
are
no,
they?
No, we rewrote the whole RFP with
What you
the
did.
Castle Blues rewrote the whole RFP.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have it sitting on my desk. It's a document that's about that thick.
Oh, don't email it. or-
That's why I'm asking if,
Well, we could give you the 3 addendums.
yeah, well, like, it's a
I think
huge document. I just didn't know if,
Probably make sure the number of windows and you're looking for just the summary, probably, a summary.
Yeah,
Because I
something
don't
just
think
so
you
we
know.
know what we're looking
Yeah,
at.
we must have a
Let me-
summary somewhere. in
Let
the
let me look through it and
We're awarding
Pick
it.
out-
We have to at least know they
Right.
met
let me
the
look through it and
requirement.
pick it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll look
Sure.
through it and pick it out. I'll get it
maybe
to
an
Lisa.
abstract in the beginning.
Yep.
Or at the end.
Future meetings.
Not windows.
We hope it doesn't. $2 million. Volga roof update. Okay, driveway, you should all set. That comes off.
Yeah.
Yours comes off.
We should have some information on the middle school roof for next meeting.
And Bogo? Or is that everything? Did we get everything?
No, right now, we have to, we have to work through the middle school to figure out what's left in there for Vogel and how Vogel's gonna get funded.
Okay. Got
Because
it.
remember, we're gonna absorb all of that money that the city says they have for the 2 roofs in one because of the scope of the project change.
Right, that's right.
And we, one more question, probably already answered this, and we've had that conversation with the city. So they're aware that all that money now is being absorbed and now we need.
I did mention that I happened to meet with the mayor on Monday. It was not an official meeting, but we were
Right,
just
yeah.
chatting about it. Yeah, to talk about the switch. She had seen the numbers, so we knew that was a possibility. John had presented and said, we're investigating and looking at it. But it would be good for us to review again in a formal way when we meet with her.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
later in the
to
month.
Nikki's point, we
Sure.
should always start memorializing some of these things so that
Yeah,
there's
those
more
meetings
clarity.
as well. Sure.
Right.
Yep,
At least then we can.
that's later in the month.
It's all over the place. It
Yeah.
changes constantly.
Communication system. Update. Oh, no. I'm not gonna talk about security, but I still think we need to. I'd like to see if we can address something at the schools, given the circumstances lately with other communities. I don't know what, but specifically in the high school maybe, but we can do to make it a little bit better.
You have a capital plan that has a whole list of security stuff on it, so.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Mhm.
trying to fast track it. And what it would be, because I don't even know if we ever talked about what we could do. But I don't want to discuss it here, think about it. That's just,
I think it would be really helpful for us to maybe have an executive session where we are able to view what our building level security plan looks like. and then get a better read of what do we need, what areas are we strong, what areas do we need to prioritize, things like that. Because we kind of talk around a lot of things that relate to security, but I would like to know really what we need and really what are, if we have weak spots, what they are. And we can't always,
Yeah, I would
it's
too.
not always appropriate to discuss that in a regular meeting.
So we do need to just check with emergency management because everyone is not supposed to know the security plan, only the people on the security committee. So I'm not on the security committee, but
Who is, do we know, do you know?
We're gonna find
It's a
out.
secret.
right. Well, no,
I'm just
because
kidding.
part of
We
the
could ask.
problem
Can't know
is
that either.
if you have too many people know
Yeah.
and someone happens to tell their brother-in-law who happens to tell.
Right.
So there's a reason why. So the board has never been involved in that before.
But I was more talking
Um,
about
What's,
things we can do to, stop somebody structurally,
Right.
not necessarily, the plan, but is there anything we can do?
Are you speaking? of
Well, I think to some extent, we need to know what it is
Capital
to make
plan,
sure that,
district-wide, there's a whole bunch of money sitting right there that needs to be funded.
Yeah, it should
It's-
be, it
it's
should
been
be an executive
discussed.
session that we've already
Yes,
talked
It's
about.
been
Right.
discussed with
Exactly.
D'Agostino and Associates.
Yeah.
We've had meetings here about school security with D'Agostino, about the new building, about our existing buildings. Ally was involved, I was involved. So it's,
I
I
don't know
was
if you
there,
think that-
Ed was there.
Ed was there, you were
I
there.
don't think Lynn was on yet, but she'll be
Just
involved.
about-
Lynn-
I'm
Lynn
talking
will
about
be
structures.
there in the
I think people
future.
there too.
Exactly.
Now that we have that.
Yep.
the structure
like
of
a-
the security.
No, the buildings themselves, which we never want to talk about.
For.
Flares and windows.
Right.
and
Yeah.
Gary's
glass and
security
doors.
committee for the,
Well,
new
I
building
think
project.
too, if we have a more
And then for the
comprehensive plan, then we can bring that to the
emergency
city in advance
Fiona was sitting in on
of our
those
budget to
meetings,
really talk about what
the
is like
emergency
non-negotiable
inner
on our capital
circle,
plan.
and
But
then
I
they
think
have their own
just this form
Fiona
isn't gonna do it, like.
No, it's, but we have to have, well, all I want to do is set up an executive session meeting, because we never really want to talk about it either.
Yeah.
We've always deferred.
Per se.
And just for clarity, so the security committee is not just Board of Ed people, it's
No,
like
I
the
know.
police department, the fire
That's what-
department.
yeah.
It's not just our
So that's what I was just saying.
thing.
Do we know how often they revisit that plan? If ever?
So we,
Yeah, I
ha-
think Phil said
yeah,
it.
Updated yearly.
we
isn't
have
it?
to, right, we have to do our plan yearly. John just got the approval from Will Turley at the state level on all of our plans, which
Plans
is
are done.
great. So that's wonderful.
Our safety plans, you mean?
Yep.
Or- Okay.
Yeah, safety and
Okay.
security plans. And then emergency management, basically, we had a lot of that during COVID because we had crisis response. So
There's
Fiona was
also
on
monthly
one of the
meetings at each one of the
subcommittee.
buildings.
And, right, so this is all internal, that's specific to ours. And then I'm in a monthly meeting with police and fire and just all the communicators, the mayor and other folks, you know, DPW and Department of Public Works and stuff. Yeah, so we're all talking about what's going on within the Charlotte Hungerford as well. Because all of those players come into play when there's something that might be a crisis or a problem or an issue. And you might need any one of those services.
We want to have a executive session. the
I
next
think
meeting?
so.
I think we should,
Yeah.
because there's more to it than facility issues too. There's other things like
Mhm.
how do we react to certain types of situations? Or do we do certain types of security trainings, things like that, that maybe we want to talk about.
Mental health, I think there's a lot of things going on.
Right, now? Can we have an executive session for that?
That's appropriate.
I'd also like facilities to look, over the next couple of months at the middle school, Vogel, I'm sorry, not Vogel, Forbes and Southwest. Basically, all the schools but the new high school, to start looking at number of classrooms, square footage, so that
Great.
we have better information for, how this all
Well, to
shifts.
restructure everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to, like how many first floor classrooms, how many, we looked at
Right,
it
'cause-
before.
yep.
So some of the information may be available, but it's certainly not fresh to any of us and probably not you guys after everything that's happened since we originally looked at it, but
Sure.
just so that we all have a good idea of what can and can't happen in each building, depending on,
Depending whether we get the 20 million or not, too. If we have to shift around.
Depend on what, I didn't hear what you said.
I said that they'll probably also rely on whether we get the 20 million, the building committee that we discussed, an additional 20 million going to bond. Otherwise, are we gonna consider not moving all the kids up there at one time, or that was brought
I
up?
think we just have to look at it all
Right.
and look at what our
Right.
space
Yeah.
allotments
Capacity, right,
are and
yeah.
capacities are and,
You're
you know,
talking
what
about
grades
pre-K,
could go
right.
at which
Right,
buildings,
right.
which grades can't go at which building.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Noted.
yeah.
And that's
so-
something we do, not the building committee,
No, because we decide what's happening.
who goes where.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's
the
all
building
in
committee is
restaurant.
only working on the new
On the
building.
building, okay.
On the new
The Board of
building.
Ed is gonna do everything else. You know, we did talk about, you know, looking at it, we talked about a school
This is
improvement about
School
possibly doing
improvement
this.
committee. We said that this is the initial stage of facilities realignment.
And that's the thing we've been following on our agenda every month,
Right.
yeah, that item, right?
So I'm just trying to think of what will be helpful for when that group is decided and sits down, what information are they gonna need?
Do you want that at the
Start.
facilities meeting or you want that at the SIP meeting?
It's two different issues.
Facilities, yeah,
Right.
because this is really.
I was
the
just
building.
curious.
It's the facility report. that we-
Right.
Okay,
Right.
all right. I'll get that.
Comments for good of the orders. Good of the order. Nick,
Thank you, good meeting, thanks, Tom.
Tony?
Great info. Thank you. Good update.
All good, thank you.
I'll go up to the screen. Ms. Toder,
Good, thanks.
Ms. Mangan,
All set, thank you.
Ms. Ferguson. Didn't know she was-
Thanks.
Ally,
I'm good.
Kim,
I'm good.
John,
Good.
Jess.
Just thank you for all of the work, especially on the emergency radio system. I'm happy to see us moving along with that, and I hope that we can do whatever we need to do to expedite that.
Good, thank you.
Good meeting, good information.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Ed, I'm
Ed.
sorry, Ed, you've been quiet. Ed?
Nothing here, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second,
All in favor?
aye.
All right.